Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
So there's this saying, and you've probably heard it attributed to like Abraham Lincoln, that when he said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Here's the thing. Lincoln probably never said it. People that have investigated that quote have traced it back to 1944, a speech by a reverend who, before that, it came from some unnamed lumberjack. They picked up Lincoln's name somewhere along the way because the things that we do, we like our wisdom to come from these, impressive sources. But the fact that Lincoln didn't say it doesn't make it wrong. And I think there's something really instructive in maybe that misattribution itself. We repeat this idea because it resonates, because most of us have had this experience of kind of hacking away at something with a dull blade and wondering why it's not moving. The wisdom is real, even though the source is maybe dubious. So when we talk about preparation, talk about the preparing room. And yesterday we had led into the little conversation about creating space and the mindset as being a part of that. Now let's talk about the physical space. In the lodge, the preparing room is a literal space. It's a place that exists before entering the lodge, where the candidate is divested of all of the sort of trappings of the outside world, stripped of the things that would prevent him from being fully engaged in the moment. It's not a waiting room. It's not a lobby. It's not this place like a holding area, right? It's a process. It's a step in a process. It's preparation. It's the preparing room. You need one in your life. It may not necessarily be a room, mind you, but a practice, a part of that process. When we talk about that, again, that process focus over outcomes, you need a preparing process, something that functions as a threshold between your different sort of functions and the world outside. For me, it's cleaning my desk. When I clean my desk, it gets a bunch of kind of head trash out of the way. The objects that take up the literal space kind of move out of my way. It frees up my mind and my headspace for just doing the work. For that cleaning the desk, it takes a lot of the kind of annoying things that my mind would tend to fixate on when I'm looking around the room. Takes away some of the stuff that just chews up my extra cycles. But here's where something like that gets challenging, right? Cleaning my desk, for example. It gets complicated when you start doing things that are productively unproductive. And that's a kind of a phrase that maybe you've not heard before, but it's doing good things, but for the wrong reasons, for lack of a better way to say it. It's doing this stuff that's going to actually keep you from getting the work done. I can clean the desk for a whole day when in fact the work that I might be trying to do would take much, much shorter period of time, and I'm avoiding that work. So be mindful as you develop and cultivate your own process, what that really looks like for you, and keep an eye out for that productively unproductive stuff that you might get stuck doing. The other thing that you want to do as you start creating your own process of creating that threshold experience, is understand that that preparing process is something that can only be done by you. You have to do it in a way that is right for you. It has to be your process. So you may not find that cleaning your desk solves your kind of sets your mind at ease, or your heart in the right space to do the work. For you, cleaning your desk might be a non-issue. You may always keep it clean, and that's okay too. Work on identifying what those threshold experiences that you can create are to help you prepare to go to do the work, to create that space to get the work done. And if you find it you're paying more time and effort and energy to the work of preparing than to doing the work itself, then maybe it's time to change your preparation ritual, as it were. You're not here to necessarily judge these things. You just want to evaluate whether or not they're helping you achieve your objectives or not. Today's challenge for you as you go back, as you're done with this podcast, is to note the times that you have spent in preparation and see how that has impacted the work itself. Try and pay attention to it. You might find that you're sometimes being productively unproductive, like I tend to be, or you may find that the transitionary periods that you go from place to place, those context switches, those opportunities where you change from one task to the next, take much longer than they should. And a preparation ritual might help you create the headspace and the heart space and the physical space to actually get the work done.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at masonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.